Perfect Turd Podcast, episode 268, Lamar, Hemet, or the Landlady Don't Drink Tea.
Yes. This is a new one for us. This is a very interesting premise because it combines the post-apocalypse with a kind of a crazy landlord old lady.
Well, it's out now on VOD and all that, so let's get into it. Lamar, what did we think of the story?
Well, Joe, we are in the post-apocalypse. And it's not zombies, it's more like cannibals that are eating people, right? It's hard to find a place to live because everywhere is dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, there's this old lady who is renting out, a building, and then one of the tenants finds a way to kind of buy the property.
So there's like a rivalry between the old lady and all the tenants because she's just mean to everybody.
She's very mean. She says a lot of mean things to people.
Yeah.
Joe.
There were interesting elements of this story. It is like, I guess what you call like a dark comedy, satirical comedy. My biggest issue with it really was the pacing.
Yes, and I think what needed to happen was, just set up the old lady just doing crazy crap. Just
Yeah.
get into the conflict. Yeah.
What do you give it for story, Lamar?
I'll give it a half point.
Yeah, a half point. Our next category, Lamar, is what do we think of all these characters? Because there's a lot.
Well, we'll talk about the old lady, but
Yeah.
there's the tenants are varied, but it's just so many of them.
Yeah. I didn't really care about any of them, I guess, except for the old lady, because that was an interesting character. And then the other girl that's kind of like, I guess, the protagonist of the story. She was okay, but like nothing special, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's kind of like the villain is carrying things,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like there's a lot of characters, too many of them.
Yeah.
But the old lady was interesting, though,
Yeah.
as a villain.
I'll give it a half point because, I mean, the acting is okay for what it's supposed to be and everything, but the characters weren't like super great.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Lamar, next category is what do we think of the special effects?
There are some blood effects.
There's
Was there
some
any
blood. There's
digital
some blood. A little bit of digital blood, I
Was
think.
it so quick that you can't be
Yeah,
mad at it?
there was some digital blood, some digital like gun holes in the
yeah.
head. But then they did some practical stuff, like they cut off the limbs. And we have to talk about the grandma, old lady makeup, Lamar.
Well, it was played by a man
Yes.
who looked like an old lady, and I guess that's maybe part of the joke. So
Yeah.
I did like that effect.
If it was anything else, it would be horrible. But for this, it works because this
Yes.
is part of the gimmicky joke. What do you give it for special effects, Lamar?
I was gonna give it a 1.
Yeah, I'll give them a 1. They did some
Yes.
stuff.
I like how he said they did some stuff.
Well, our next category is what do we think of the comedy?
The old lady was funny.
Yes.
I just wished it was just, tighten it up, just that. And it has a funny tone to it. Like you said, it's satirical and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that kind of dark comedy, satirical comedy, the whole gimmick thing, but the old lady was fun. Like a lot of good one-liners and just all the random stuff that she'd say was crazy and stuff. There was she had like how would you say, Lamar, man whores and stuff.
That was funny.
That was funny.
That was very funny.
There was a funny line where she said, what did she say? I only drink.
Oh, dang.
What was the line? I only drink it was an alcohol, Coca-Cola, and jizz. And she goes, I've already had 2 of those today. And then it cuts to the next scene and she's drinking Coca-Cola. So I know that was a funny line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I thought it was funny. Like at least the old lady was funny. There were some other things that were funny here and there. The dark humor thing is not my cup of tea necessarily, but I'll give this a 1 for comedy.
I'm right there with you.
Well, our last category, Lamar, is an interesting one. Would we ever want to see a sequel? This landlady coming back for revenge or whatever?
See, it's that whole thing where I'm not hyped about a sequel, but I know what I want in the sequel.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? Like, cut
sure.
it down a little bit, have the old lady have like a clear goal of what she's doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. The way they left it off, they could make it into a sequel. I think you need to really, really utilize the old lady a lot more. Like you said, tighten it up. I could see a lot of like cool stuff them doing. Like she's like in a nursing home and terrorizing the people in there or something. What if they
Yes.
go back in time, Lamar, to when she
We
was?
haven't done this in a while. This is the new year. I am going to listen as a new way of thinking. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I'm just saying, like, she's so bad that, like, maybe they go back in time to when she was, like, a younger woman and they try to, like, change her in the past so that she's not such a bitch in the present.
I'm not mad about that,
No?
Joe.
Okay.
No.
What would they call it?
No.
Hemet or the landlady don't travel in time, they'll call that or something.
Okay.
What do you give it for sequel potential?
I'll give it a half a point.
Yeah, I agree. Half point. I could take it or
Yes.
leave it, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Lamar, we've tallied the score, and this movie gets a 3.5 out of 5.
There's something there. There's
Yeah.
something about a old lady that's crazy that's, played by a man. That gimmick, they almost have it.
Yeah.
It's something. It's something there, Joe.
There
Yeah.
is definitely something there. It just needs to be shortened and tightened up a little bit and
Yes.
just utilized, I guess, the gimmick more of the old lady and being so
Right.
kooky. Does that wrap it up then, Lamar?
It does.
All right. Peace.
Deuces.